No dirty talk, just podcasts. No turn-ons, so turn me on. By that I mean this podcast. Not interested, so don't date me. Review me, just rate me. Like, subscribe, don't date me. Review me, just rate me. Like, subscribe, don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me. Alexa, play the podcast Don't Date Me.
Okay, speaking of which, follow us on Instagram at It's Jamie Sparks and Twitter at It's Jamie Sparks.
Wait, is it?
At It's Jamie Sparks.
Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Don't Date Me. I'm Sarah. I'm a 36-year-old Glasgow School of Art graduate. I'm mother to two ragdoll kittens. I'm also the token straight person for this podcast series. I want Tracy Emin to adopt me, and I once danced with Kate Moss in the pale moonlight.
This is not what it says in the notes. In the notes it says, Andy Warhol is your daddy.
I'm not saying that.
Oh no.
Oh no.
She's changing at the last minute.
Hello, I am Jamie. I am a 37-year-old, 6'4" bisexual man and closeted Christian. I enjoy long hikes and I want to meet your mum, and I can fit my fist in my mouth. Sorry.
The way you just looked at me when you said that there.
Well, good job everyone.
It was the fact that I wanted so badly to keep a straight face after I said it, but I couldn't do it. But I honestly can't. Do you want to see?
Okay.
Do you actually want it?
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know if this is appropriate for a
I'll
podcast.
take a picture. We'll put it on Instagram.
It sounds like this is like employment rules.
I know, it's like literally, we will do anything for likes. Anything.
Put the microphone in your mouth. Oh!
And this is what my throat sounds like.
Oh wait, to be fair, we were talking about ASMR and how it's super awkward because people like brush wigs into the microphone.
Brush wigs?
I swear to God.
What
On YouTube there's like videos of people like combing a wig and like
serial killers, you mean?
And like cutting soap into tiny cubes. And
That
just
is-
like,
Do these people get paid for that?
yes.
What?
Why are we not doing that?
Why am I can cut soap into tiny cubes. I can brush a wig.
Anyway, so yeah, that's my party piece. And who is this?
oh, sorry, I'm still recovering from the fist moment.
Same.
Hello, I'm Chris, a flamboyantly homosexual cis man with pink hair, a dangerous aversion to my 40s, and a penchant for the Scottish brogue. Surprise, I'm not from Scotland.
Yay! Where are you from?
I'm from London originally.
Nice.
Nice indeed.
Well, today we're going to be discussing polyamory, which is an interesting subject because we're all coming from a perspective of slight ignorance, I want to say. Like, we're all discussing it beforehand as to like our own experiences and how they do or don't fit into this subject matter, and how often when that's the case it's difficult to navigate those discussions because, you know, we're not coming from a super informed position. So that's why for this episode we've actually spoken with some people that are polyamorous as well. But before we get into that, we just want to say thank you so much for all your kind words for the first episode. Your feedback's so valuable. It's been so nice having all our friends and family and co-workers listening in and giving us like positive feedback, but also criticism as well, and wanting us to be our best. So
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't. We're now available on Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and shortly available on Google Podcasts as well. So just give us a wee subscribe, and whilst you're there, rate us and review, because it does actually help people find the podcast, which is what I'm learning. The reason why all these people are saying this when they make podcasts is because when you look in the back end, you can actually see the stats and stuff, and so it's super interesting to see that we've got loads of listeners, but our subscribers are still growing, so give us a wee subscribe. Do it.
Or I'll comb some wigs at you.
But today though, we have to do a new feature which I like to call Clarification Corner.
Oh,
Okay, Jamie.
delicious.
Take it away.
So, well, speaking of ignorance, no, it's basically just we feel it's important. This is gonna be a bumpy ride. So each episode we're gonna have a moment where we basically allow for us being human and navigating the dating world and the subjects surrounding it, and so we just want to each episode give us some space to kind of like break down and correct any maybe errors in what we've said previously, and just clarify stuff as well. So just to clarify, don't you all worry. I do know it wasn't actually a riot that happened a year ago.
It was a peaceful protest.
It was a peaceful yet passionate protest regarding asylum seekers within Glasgow being forcibly evicted from their homes by the Home Office. So we know that. It's just I said the wrong thing. So oops. But don't forget you have access to the internet and y'all can Google it and you can actually see the news article which I was actually reading from as well, which itself does not say it was a protest. No.
Oh my! That's on next week's correction corner.
It's just a vicious cycle.
Done it again.
Also, just to clarify, Rina Sawayama, the pop star, she challenged the Brit Awards rules and won. And so under the new rules that are in place, artists who have been resident in the UK for more than 5 years now qualify for the main prize, which is amazing because Rina Sawayama was born in Japan but has lived in the UK pretty much her entire life and literally is signed to a record label. She's played Coachella, Elton John is a massive fan, she's done duets with Lady Gaga, Charlie XCX and all these people, and was selling units but not allowed to win a Brit Award because of where she was born. Like,
as in kitchen units.
that's what she does.
Units.
That's what she does as a side hustle, just part-time in IKEA. So yeah, it's just exciting that she managed to kind of shift things, so just to clarify that. And then the last clarification that we wanted to make is basically, why are all these my clarification? Why did no one else say anything that they needs to clarify?
Because deep down you're just problematic.
Oh, I'm so problematic. In the same way that Azealia Banks is. Because on Apple Music and YouTube and also on Spotify, we shared some playlists. So if you want to check them out, you can look on your favourite platform of choice. But as part of those bangers that we included in those playlists, I forgot that Azealia Banks is our problematic club kid from New York. And so I forgot that she's a little bit controversial. I went as far as not putting her most controversial song in it, but then I just forgot that she's like...
Please don't at us, guys.
Yeah, don't be at us. In fact, don't even at Azealia Banks, because that woman is disturbed.
I'm saying nothing about this.
Oh, I know next week's clarification corner why Azealia Banks is not problematic. Imagine that Azealia Banks tweets us. Oh god.
Oh no, we're cutting that out then. I don't want her to come after me. Definitely not.
So anyway, talking of polyamory.
Well, I was going to ask how your week has been.
Oh, okay. Well, how's your week been, Chris? What's been happening?
I was not prepared for this question.
Done anything exciting this week?
I mean, yeah, this week technically I've popped my Scotland cherry, as you'll be lovely and enthralled to hear. So I think we've got a new convert in the
Yay! Yeah, because this is your first time of ever visiting Scotland, right?
It is indeed. I believe I probably passed through it on a train once, maybe. But like, that's not really, doesn't really count, does it?
So
where were you going?
I have literally no idea. I feel like
The Lake District.
like
You don't pass Scotland on the way to the Lake District.
My bad. And on next week, clarification corner.
Scotland is the end of the line, ladies and
really
gents.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, because Shetland. Do you know, I've never been to Shetland. It's on my to-do
I've
list.
been to wait, where have I been again? Wait, Harris and then Stornoway.
Harris.
I've been up there, yeah.
That's where...
Where they
oh my
make
God.
all the gin.
Is it?
Yeah, the Isle of Harris gin.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Where do they make Harris tweets? Oh my god.
The Isle of Harris, there's actual like shops and mills there, right beside where they make all the gin.
Well, at least we don't need to clarify that next week.
The listeners
still-
can count on me.
I was still stuck on Shetland and was just like ponies.
Oh
And I was just literally just stuck
That
in
is-
Ponyland. And
that's
I just
all
went
that's
off
there.
on this whole gin tangent.
That's all.
It's just
That's all that's there is little tiny ponies wearing tweed and drinking gin. The whole island is just filled with them.
That's
just gin drinking ponies.
Yeah.
This is a trip and a half.
It's magical. So today you visited Glasgow and then tomorrow you're visiting Edinburgh.
Apparently so. It's going to be
nice.
a complete wonder carpet ride of
Exactly.
dreams.
So Sarah, what should Chris be looking forward to in Edinburgh, and how would you describe to both Chris and the listener how Glasgow and Edinburgh differ?
Oh, so
Scone.
I would say
Scone versus. So I'm going to English there because I was like scone versus scone. But so we would say scone, and someone in Edinburgh would go scone. So there's like very.
Oh god, I'm going to hate it, aren't I?
He's like, I'm not going.
I know. I think
No,
you'll like it.
Edinburgh's really good fun. It is. It's really nice.
It's so pretty.
It's so pretty. It's stunning.
And
It's
that's
very
just the
like
people.
yeah, well, yeah. But it's also like very medieval, so it's just a total different vibe from Glasgow. Glasgow's really like kind of modern and more
Edgy.
like gritty, and this is like
Progressive,
more kind of
I
like
suppose the obvious question then is, are the men hotter in Glasgow or Edinburgh?
Well.
Edinburgh,
Controversial.
definitely.
Maybe at us on Twitter at It's Jamie Sparks to answer the question. Of
Jimmy's like, I'll get the number.
Let's
on
get
this.
the phone
It's
number.
like the new Edward v. Jacob. It's just like, are you
I know,
team
it's always.
Glasgow or team
Oh
Edinburgh?
my god, we're gonna do a Twitter poll immediately
Oh, yeah.
to find out.
And it kind of needs to be done like before tomorrow.
Sarah, so what's happened during your week?
Right, so it's been a really exciting week for me. I
has.
got a new baby kitten.
Oh.
I know, and she's called Maud, and
So cute.
she's
Have you seen photos?
torty.
I have not, but I will gladly look at them because
She's
they're
a torty
not children.
bicolour ragdoll.
She's a what with a who now?
a torty
thought you said
bicolour.
dirty.
A dirty ragdoll.
It has just taken me a little while to just be like, tortoiseshell, I understand this
Ah.
now. Just be like, sorry, just
Right,
catching
explain to the listener what this cat looks like.
up. Like if a cloud fell out of heaven
Oh,
and really smashed its face on the way down.
That's my baby doll.
is she like a wee? And what's her temperament like? Is she?
She
cheeky?
is a baby. She
Aw.
wants to be held. I'm actually thinking about getting her a papoose. For a papoose because she wants to be like up here, like in where my neck
Aw.
is. She'll like stand with her legs like right like on her wee tippy toes to get up and cuddle, and I'm trying to work, so I've got like I can't hold her, and then she starts like grumping. So I'm thinking about getting a papoose to hold her in.
On a,
You have to see if you see if and when things switch up and you have to commute for work or whatever, right? I need you to be wearing your papoose with a cat. Public transport, people will be like, what's with that weird woman with a papoose?
I'll be the nutter, like, you know, like in Glasgow there's like certain people
Yeah.
that's about, like the raver guy and all
Yeah.
that, and the guy with all the dancing cats. I'll be the nutter that's always cutting about by a cat and a
Oh my
papoose.
god, you never met the dancing cat guy.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe on the way back tomorrow.
what about mac and cheese? Like, surely that's all
I
we need in
know.
life,
Although we
right?
did make shout out to Margaret.
Oh gosh, yes, Margaret, our good friend Michelle Gomez Part 2.
She basically we met someone who looked the spitting image of Michelle Gomez, who is the woman that's in Doctor Who and Green Wing. What else has she been in?
Those were literally the
That's
first two
only
examples
things.
that I grasped at
Yeah.
because you did not know.
I know. I'm so bad with answers names. It's so bad. Anyway, cool. So that's exciting.
Oh, one other thing.
And what else
Two
happened?
other things.
Oh yeah, your art stuff.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
So I went to Margate to see my favourite artist in the whole world, Tracy Emin. I know, I love her. So I went to see her exhibition. It was amazing.
Alright, Chris, go do.
Sorry, I was literally, we were at the Goma this morning, and I literally said, whilst we were in there, I was just like going off on one. I was like, I love the Saatchi gallery.
Oh yeah.
And I was just sort of like that whole thing of just like the Tracy Emin exhibit right in the middle with the tent, and I was just like, the tent and the bed and just
I love all that.
all
that's
of the
all
stuff.
gone. Most of that's gone now. That burned down. Anyway, but I did make a bit of an arse of myself this week.
Oh no.
Because when I was in Margate,
I'm clenching for you right now.
I
This is
don't
such a
really
fun
drink
story.
that much, but I was on my holidays, so I thought I'll have a couple of cocktails. It was happy hour in the Libertines Hotel and Bar, which I
looked
was
amazing.
obsessed with.
Yeah, it looks so
Still
good.
love the Libertines, so it was happy hour. It was like 2-for-1 cocktails, so lots of tequila was drank. Then I ran into one of the actors from Top Boy, the guy that plays Jamie, and I have just finished watching Top Boy. So
Wait, let me Google.
and
who
he
this
was my
person is.
favourite during this whole time I was watching it. So I became a total fangirl over him, and he was like, yeah.
Jamie from Top Boy. What else has he been in? Has he
Oh,
been...
God
Wait,
knows.
I recognise him from other stuff.
And
Wow. So
Yeah.
what was he like?
he was like,
Not that we're
please
objectifying
go
them.
away.
Right, we're just all gathered round pictures. going,
We're just like looking at it. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, he was really not impressed at all. See, that is the face he was making when I was talking to him.
Look, was it like this?
Yes!
Oh no. Right, so what did you actually say to him?
Oh, I was just like,
Oh my god, I
oh,
loved it.
I just watched Top Boy and I absolutely loved it. And you were my favourite and you made me so emotional and da 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 da. And I remember saying to him, your work is so important. Like what? Anyway, he was like, okay, bye bye. Like really like.
Was he not like, oh, thank you so much?
No,
Like,
no.
oh.
He was like,
Wait, were you... See, when you're... You know on My Favourite Murder when they do, like, the Karen does her drunk whispering? Were you doing it like that? Where you're like, I just need you to know that you're really, like, important to me.
I might have been, but no.
Oh, wow.
I obviously thought what I was saying at the time was the most important message that he had to hear because I ran out the shop to tell him whatever I told him, whatever I was saying to him. Because I met him in a pizza place and people were going up and asking for photos and he was saying no. But then,
Okay, that answers my question. I was like,
Yeah.
are you sure it was him?
no, it wasn't.
And then
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if
yeah,
other
yeah.
people are taking photos,
Imagine
and
if-
I
Yeah.
almost wish it wasn't him so I don't have the shame of this to carry out. Every time I see him I'll be like,
So, the thing I need to know the most for clarification, right, is were you crying when you talked to him?
maybe. No, I wasn't crying, but I think I may have been like
Emotional.
emotional.
Oh.
Like spoilers, but something happened at like the end of.
Don't be doing spoilers.
I'm not telling spoilers, but something happened to him at the end of the last
Okay.
Top Boy episode,
Okay.
and I was like,
Okay.
so I was emotional at that, so I may have been like, like.
That's
I
pretty
think
funny.
the most
But
important
anyway.
thing that I want to clarify is, did you threaten to put him in your papoose?
Get in my papoose,
Get in my
with my
papoose, baby.
pussies.
So,
no.
my week was really different because I was not in Margate, which I felt in the early days of us doing the social media stuff, because when you were doing the social media takeover, we weren't really transparent as to why. And I think some people actually thought I was in Margate. Like my sister was like, "Were you in Margate?" and because she was asking about Killing Eve, because that's where they filmed Killing Eve, was in Margate, and so she was like, "Did you know that?" And I was like, "Oh no, I didn't even know that." But literally, like I had COVID, so I was literally, mate, what the hell, man? It was an experience. Like I feel like earlier on in the pandemic, I said, "Oh, I think I had COVID and I must have been asymptomatic." I did not have COVID before. I need you to know that this shit is like real bad. Ultimately, like, what? Just like, thank God for vaccines, and because I've had all my vaccines and my boosters and stuff, and like, but I could see how it could have been really problematic if I hadn't, because it was just a deep level of exhaustion that I've never experienced before. And you know, when I was younger, I did have asthma, So that was a concern. Obviously, it may have not helped that I like started smoking and quit smoking recently as well for like a cheeky week. So that was a bit kind of like, oh, I hope that's not going to impact this. But yeah, and then maybe like day 3 or 4, I started to feel better, and so I went for. Vincent was literally shouting at me on the phone. He was like, Jamie, why are you doing yoga? You've got COVID. Like, you need to just be doing nothing. And I was like, Vincent, this is how I recover from things. And like, so I did like yoga for like 20 minutes, like very light yoga, I need to stress, right? And then literally slept for 2 hours.
I was gonna say that, then went for an 8-hour nap.
And then the next day I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to do exercise today. And then the day after that I was like, do you know what? I feel okay today, so I'm going to go for a light... I can't make eye contact with you as I say this because you're going to scream at me. I went for like a light jog. Like just a small jog, following government guidelines in Scotland, because you're allowed to go out for exercise as long as you're not in... like mixed up with people. Like as long as you're keeping your distance from people, basically. Because I'm Mr. Do Everything by Law. And it was that way just before I went for the run. I was like, do you know what? Maybe I'll just leave my phone at home. And I was like, actually, I might die. So I better take my phone with me. And, you know, it's been an experience. I'm glad that I experienced it at this point with the stronger strain and the fact that the lockdown rules are in place, but I'm still able to, like, live life. But yeah, it was just, like, quite... It was bad, guys.
Have we all had it? So I've had COVID, you've had COVID. Have you had COVID?
I have not. Not
Yeah.
that I'm aware of.
Well, we'll maybe be doing
We'll
some
see about
lateral
that.
flows later. No, I think we did...
All I need to do is just realign my chakras, go for a light jog, and
And-
try not to die.
and-
So there
yeah,
we go.
just
Like,
do some
jobs are
yoga.
good and-
We did talk about doing the podcast remote this week, but in terms of timelines and stuff like that and following government guidelines, everything's all right. So that's why we're not doing... We almost did a video podcast and then kind of toyed with the idea of like uploading it to YouTube and stuff, but
No, thank you.
No
Not
need to.
ready for that yet.
because I'm feeling a
But
lot
we are
better.
ready to suffer for our art.
Yeah. 7 days later. It's like the podcast is on YouTube.
Honestly, it's just, there's only so many things you can shove down your throat before
Right?
you start to get sick of it.
Oh,
Like,
exactly. It's exhausting.
speaking of polyamory,
Speaking, yes.
smooth transition.
Smooth transition, guys. Okay, so the question is what is polyamory?
What is it? No, really, what is it? What was I supposed to say here?
That was convincing.
The dictionary definition.
Oh, mine's not the same as yours.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, effectively, Chris, would you like to read out the dictionary definition?
Of course, I do not know what dictionary this is, but this is the dictionary definition of polyamory. Polyamorous people have multiple loving, intentional, and intimate relationships at the same time. Polyamory is a type of open or non-monogamous relationship that follows certain guidelines. Polyamory specifically refers to people who have multiple romantic relationships at the same time.
So that, to be specific, is the first answer that shows up when you use the search engine Google. So the result may differ depending on what search engine you use and what country you're using it in. However, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to hear directly from the horse's mouth. I immediately am thinking of Shetland ponies again. Drunk,
I'm
wearing
so sorry.
really fancy like shawls.
Papooses.
Yeah. Wait,
Tweed
the
papooses.
tweed papooses, and inside the papooses is kittens.
Oh!
This place sounds magical.
If we have any artists listening, please, by all means, feel free to draw that
Oh
picture.
my God.
Drunk Shetland ponies with kittens and tweed papooses.
And speaking of people who are creative, Gwen is a dear, dear friend who I work with, and I just love to pieces. She's literally heart of gold. She's so... we interviewed her, and I basically presented a series of questions to her for her to answer, and you're gonna love it. Like, she was so honest and frank, and her answers are really meaningful. So I think it's going to be interesting to hear what her thoughts are. But this is basically her definition of polyamory.
Literally, polyamory means many loves. It's a combination of poly and amor. And a lot of people make fun of this because poly comes from Greek and amor comes from Latin. But the folks who coined it back in the 1960s thought that other combinations didn't sound as good. So the name has stuck, and pretty much everybody in the polyamorous community, because that's what we're called, uses it that way. Yes, I'm in a polyamorous relationship. I have one nesting partner. That's what people refer to as their partner who lives with them. Even though, because I've only recently relocated to Glasgow, he's not living with me all the time. He's often back in London. And I have other partners who are mostly long distance to me, some of whom I don't see very often. By far the biggest challenge about integrating my polyamorous identity into my everyday life is that other people react with such complete shock to it. We find that people consider it more appropriate or more believable and understandable to have a series of monogamous relationships, sometimes called serial monogamy, or to have a monogamous relationship in name only, in which they cheat on their partner, and then their partner finds out they're cheating and they either break up or are forgiven for it. People find those kinds of relationships more understandable and easier to believe in than an upfront, transparent, polyamorous relationship in which more people are involved with one another and don't lie about it. I will admit that I'm still not out to my in-laws from my previous marriage. I'm a widow. My late husband died 6 years ago. I've never told them that I'm a polyamorous person, and we did not reveal to them that we had a polyamorous relationship, particularly because I had another partner toward the end of Joe's life, and he felt like, well, we both believed that they would consider me trying to replace him, and so it wasn't anything that we were comfortable talking about. And even though I still have a relationship with my in-laws, I've never told them about my polyamory because I don't want to be judged for it. I like to turn relationship rhetoric on its head when I'm talking about relationships with other people. Even though I haven't revealed that I'm a polyamorous person to this one group of people, my late husband's family, as I mentioned before, I'm pretty open about it everywhere else. And so when I'm discussing relationships with someone at work or just someone that I meet in a social context, I will often ask the question, so, are you one of those monogamists? Like other people might ask, are you one of those weird polyamorists? Because I want them to understand that my normal is polyamory, and to me, monogamy feels weird. It's the same thing as asking someone, when did you discover you were straight? The most challenging thing in any polyamorous relationship dynamic, it's the same thing that's, I think, the most challenging thing about living in a family, and that's making sure that nobody feels passed over or left out. Because even though we work hard to contain feelings of jealousy, I think anyone feels a little resentful if they don't think that their needs are being met, or they feel ignored or overlooked or even not included in some things. So even with partners that I don't see very often, I do my best to keep in touch, talk to them, make sure they know that I'm aware of when the next time we're going to see each other is, and that I'm looking forward to it. I think it's one of the things that people ask me about the most as well. Don't you get jealous? I guess I don't understand jealousy in the same way that other people do. I don't like feeling, like I say, left out or overlooked, but I never understood why it wouldn't be okay to have more than one boyfriend or more than one girlfriend. I used to get in quite a lot of trouble for that when I was very young, until I discovered that there was a whole community of us, and I gave it a name, or it had a name, and I learned it. The absolute best thing about my relationship dynamic is I know that I don't have to worry about, oh, what if I find another person cute? I can tell my partner that. I can tell people that I'm involved with that I found someone attractive, or I enjoyed flirting with someone, or I had a conversation with someone to whom I was attracted, without there being any big drama around it. It's okay for me to say, I work with a whole lot of people who are super cute, or I met this boy at a concert and we had a great conversation and I gave him my phone number and I can't wait for you to meet him. 10 years ago, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing okay. 20 years ago, it isn't always going to be like this. This is not how it's done. You're going to find the right place and the right partners. And once you do, you'll understand why this is so bad. 30 years ago, there's a path for you. And you're going to find it. And it's okay that you like all these people. And it's okay to be attracted to men, women, anyone who sparks your interest. It's okay to express that. And you can learn a way to live by being authentically who you are.
So that was Gwen's responses. What did you guys think?
I thought she sounded just really super, like, she knew herself. I don't know anybody that's actually polyamorous, so I'm not really sure what to expect, and it's difficult for me to even kind of think about, because it's like, where are these communities? Like, do you go online and find them, or like what's the situation? Because she's saying like there's a community for you, you'll find them and it'll be okay, but like where would you even start with that?
Well, from the conversations that I've had with her, she's some of it's online, but also actually that's true, because like we talked about like online, or made reference to it, but we didn't really delve deep into like the nuances of meeting people in the real world. So I wonder if it's like through people you know.
Is it just metaphorical though, in the same way that you would describe other gay people as your queer family? Like, it's a community, doesn't necessarily mean you know everyone, but just as you come across them, they get integrated into your circle.
So, on next week's clarification corner, I would say like Gwen's responses really inspired me, and I think it's that way where I'm never sure. I always find it really fascinating talking to people about their personal experiences. Like when I spoke with one of my we're going into this realm. When I spoke to one of my exes regarding their own personal experience as a African American in America specifically, I could never fully understand their perspective, because I'm coming from this perspective as like a white man. But I always find it really interesting hearing about people's experiences and how they navigate life, because obviously we're all navigating life in different ways, in different contexts and stuff. And so with Gwen's answers, it's really interesting. The things that I was most interested to hear about was basically how if she struggled to integrate with heterosexual, monogamous people. And it's so interesting because like that's not what, even in the conversations that I've had with her, with other people there, she's really open and honest about everything. And I think it always takes people back because they're like, it's almost like, I feel especially in the UK, I think things are shifting, but I think there's definitely still stigma in terms of like the otherness about sexuality.
It's a sexual other, and therefore it's technically taboo.
Yeah.
And therefore, because it's taboo, we don't talk about it. We have to bury it.
Yeah, the true British experience. But no, I find that really interesting. I think it's super honest and amazing for her to open up about her late husband as well, and hearing about navigating that, because that's complex. Like, but the thing that I found really inspirational was like the fact that that you can find solace and kinship and love, and she's found that, and that is beautiful. So
I don't know how I feel about the whole thing, because it's kind of turned what I thought I understood about polyamory a little bit on its head. My initial understanding was that with polyamory you had separate boyfriends, girlfriends, separate partners in general, but none of them interacted with each other, and they were all it was a separate network where you were allowed to have all of these relationships within your nest relationship, your nest partner, but it wasn't necessarily a given that your main partner would ever meet any of yours. They might hear about it, you might be able to tell them about it and speak freely, but that's kind of it feels very different to what my original understanding was.
And I think that's really cool, because if you compare the experience of Gabby from Just Between Us, shout out to that podcast, holler, for her polyamorous experience, it is more like what you're saying, and it's more based on a transparent honesty between the partners so your nesting partner and also the people that you're in relationships with, which is interesting. Because similarly, Gwen's responses did shift my perspective and understanding, because I never even thought of polyamory in the context of marriage. Like, I never even factored that in. Whereas, although in saying that, Gabby, with her partner, she's they've got a mortgage together and they share property, but they're not married yet. And who knows what their journey is going to have for them. But yeah, it's interesting. So that's Gwen's experience. So now we're going to hear from a person who would prefer to be anonymous, which we're going to respect. So what we're going to do is we're going to get... Chris, welcome to the podcast. I'm just going to request that you seamlessly and flawlessly read out someone's responses that are so deeply personal that they did not want to be named. If you do not mind, that would be fantastic.
No, would someone like to feed me the questions so I don't feel like I...
True. Now, we're gonna be respectful, and I appreciate that you want me to put porny music in the background.
Okay, so as a stipulation, I agreed to do this podcast on the proviso that if I was asked to do anything interviewee, I would have softcore 60s porn music, just like going in the background, just to really hone it.
Yeah.
And the interview appears to be a bit more sensitive than we were originally expecting.
Which is good, because it means that they've been really honest. So, okay. So, we'll give you your name. What would you like your name to be?
Polly.
Polly the Polly. Polly the Polly.
Polly.
Okay, ready? And begin scene. Hey Polly, thanks for agreeing to do this interview. How was your day?
Hi. I wasn't prepared for hot seating, sorry.
Okay, Polly, can you let us know what the word polyamory, what does it mean to you?
Polyamory means to me that I have more than one partner that I share my life with, have sexual contact with, and have genuine deep connection with. It means freedom to love without constraining myself.
Would you regard yourself to be in a polyamorous relationship?
I do mostly, We are non-monogamous. Me and my original partner became an open relationship for sexual encounters only back in 2019, about a year before the initial lockdown. It wasn't until we met our new partner in the late 2020, early 2021 that we began the discussion about whether or not we wanted to pursue a three-way relationship. The way we look at it is this. We are a three-way open relationship. We have our primary relationship between the three of us that includes all the day-to-day stuff, living, love, bills, day trips, essentially the stuff that make up life. We are an open relationship in that we are all able to meet other people for sex, friendships, connection, and sometimes all of the above, but we aren't looking for any of us to have any other partners as such. So in some ways, yes, we are a polyamorous relationship, but in some ways we don't fit the traditional sense of polyamorousness and exploring having multiple separate relationships.
What challenges do you face integrating your sexual identity into your everyday life, whether that be in workplaces, with friends, or family?
Although we're a year down the line, there are still some friends and a lot of family and work that aren't aware of the situation. I personally find it challenging to tell close friends and family, and a lot easier to tell people I don't have that strong a connection with, and new people. This does cause some difficulty and discomfort when our newer partner gets introduced as or treated like our friend in some scenarios. It's a work in progress, and we are getting better and more open with it.
What is the most challenging thing about your relationship dynamic?
I would say C above, definitely. Also, sometimes sleeping arrangements. We have 2 bedrooms with 2 double beds at the moment. Making the new partner feel part of the relationship when he has been here for a year and us other 2 have 6 or 7 years of history. Just considering everyone's feelings. And also scheduling. Scheduling can be a big one. Working around everyone's friends, family and work life, events, holidays, work trips. It can be a nightmare, and sometimes finding time for just the 3 of us to relax can be tough.
And so what's the best thing about your relationship dynamic?
Watching my partners fall in love with each other. It was a great feeling falling for someone new, but also came with a lot of guilt about my existing partner. I never expected a 3-way relationship, no one did. But seeing them hit it off and develop into something beautiful, something I could both witness and be a part of, that feeling of guilt gone, the excitement of something new and different, seeing the way they look at each other and then look at me. We feel like a family that's been here for years. There's also mediation. During arguments, there's usually 2 of us going at each other with the other taking a step back, but also offering insights into arguments to help resolve. And obviously 3 incomes. This is the big one. Monogamy in this economy, I hear you ask, but it is a big relief knowing that there are 3 people contributing to a household, and it feels more of a safety net should anything happen to any of us.
And lastly, what advice would you give yourself 10 years ago?
There are a million things I would advise myself from 10 years ago about how to behave, thoughts and feelings, work, etc. But being specific to relationships and polyamory, get rid of your girlfriend. You are miserable, you are unhappy, and you are living a lie. You don't need a marriage, a wedding, a house, kids. The standard everyday life is not for you. She is going to get up and leave you one day, and once you get over that, you will be happy and actually enjoy an authentic lifestyle. You are attractive. Your lack of confidence comes from yourself and past experiences. You aren't the person you were at school, and people who made you doubt yourself weren't your friends. There are big things out there.
First of all, thank you so much for your responses.
Thanks,
again,
Polly.
really honest. I think it's cool as well because it shows like a different perspective, and again, it's seeming to be that it's a uniquely personalized thing, I feel, in a lot of ways, as to how people find this overarching term and then integrate it into their life.
It's just fried my brain a little bit because I feel like Polly just essentially described a throuple.
Yeah.
And I was just very much under the impression that throuples aren't necessarily polyamory.
But
like
in some ways
it's
is.
just a very specific
Yeah.
version.
I think the thing that I found really exciting, and I'm going to be so transparent about this, the income thing.
Yeah,
I never thought about that.
Hey,
I was
wait
like,
a minute.
get that money. Like, no, but think about it.
Yeah.
How annoying it is sometimes. You're like, oh God, like, I've overspent this month. And then your second partner would be like, don't worry, I got you.
I know.
It's like, buy me these shoes.
Yeah, but then you also have an extra mouth to feed.
That's true.
And that's so many jokes I could make.
Yeah.
I'm being so professional. Let me do my fist at the end. I'll get my fist out. No, but it's yeah. So there is more. Yes.
And
so
more
whilst
healthcare,
more healthcare, more toilet paper.
Oh yeah, we are in the age of COVID.
Indeed.
More lateral flow tests.
Yeah.
And they cost an arm and a leg now.
They do. This is very true. So it is that way where on the one side you have that extra income, and then on the other side you've got more outgoings as well. What about you, Sarah? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, just kind of just hearing what like the two kind of different sides of it. It does just kind of seem like it's not as kind of straight laced as maybe some people do think. I guess it's like different kind of relationships. It's different.
Yeah.
But there was different nuances to both of the relationships. So it is kind of interesting, like, because I think even in what we're talking about, which is quite like a complex. Well, it's quite like a not an up and coming thing. What am I trying to say? Like,
it's
an emerging trend.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's still like people are becoming more open about this kind of stuff, and but we're still kind of like putting them in boxes like, well, you're polyamorous, so this is what you must do, and you're in a throuple, so this is what you must do. But it's kind of just like it's
I think
quite fluid, actually.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's what we're maybe learning is that out of a lot of the sexual identities that you would typically think of.
Literally just going to start bringing it to sexual identity because I was
like,
I feel this
you is effectively, seems to be a very fluid and nuanced approach to it. What I would say though that I think is important to point out, it does seem that the cornerstone of these relationships is honesty and transparency, and I think that's why Gwen, could have a sustainable marriage that had polyamory because they were so honest about it and they were so transparent about it. And I think a lot of monogamous straight people would be really challenged by that because there's so many, like, what it's like, Chris, for the gay community, like, there's so many closeted straight men that still are like, wanna bang? And you're like, you got a wife, like, what are you doing? Get off the internet.
All I'm gonna say is that there is I'm not entirely sure if we're allowed to name names, but there is an orange Facebook equivalent for the gay and bisexual man that is out there, and it is...
Rhymes with Zinder. Grinder.
That doesn't rhyme with Zinder?
Oh no, wait, I was thinking of Blender.
Rhymes with childminder.
It's Blender. Oh God, let's not bring children to dating. Jesus. Wait, is Blender a thing? That's a thing, isn't it? Is that not a dating app?
I think that's a kitchen appliance.
Is Blender not the straight version? I feel like it's...
No, it's Tinder.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's Google it. No, let's not do that. There is a lesbian version, right?
Is that Blender?
Oh, Brenda.
No,
it's called
Blender.
It's called Brenda. I'm telling you now, it's called Brenda. Look it up.
Wait,
oh God,
do you know we're missing? Correction corner next week will just be the episode will be presented. It'll be presented by 3 lesbians because we've all been fired. We've all fired.
I swear, I know somebody that used it, and I'm sure it's called Brenda.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not saying okay as in I don't believe you. I'm saying okay.
Okay, moving.
Okay, moving
from
on.
your rubbish opinions.
So, in conclusion, what's your thoughts now that we've explored polyamory and how it functions for some people? Like, could it function for you?
It does kind of blow my mind a little bit, but
in what way?
Just because, well, it's so like different from like the kind of relationships I've ever had. But like listening to people, I've listened to my own kind of podcasts and things like that about different kinds of relationships, and it does make a lot of sense when you do actually listen to people's opinions and the different kind of fluid, like the different ways the relationship works and things like that. So I personally don't think I could be, but I can see how it would work. But you never know.
What about you, Chris?
I mean, honestly, I've previously sort of considered the concept of polyamory. I personally don't feel that monogamy is for me. I kind of feel like it's not outdated, but I feel like there are better solutions now. I feel it'd be very narrow-minded to expect to be able to get all of your needs met by one person. So polyamory seems like a very natural progression from it. However, just in response to one of Polly's statements, I honestly struggled with the concept of there being a mediator present. Like the idea of like that third person being like a mediator. I feel like you'd never be able to actually converse or have that conversation without someone else
or have a satisfactory argument. Because like actually now that I think about it, a lot of the time my sister, shout out to Sarah, likes to be devil's advocate. So I've learned that I don't present problems to her, because she'll be like, well, what about if you thought of it from this? And I'm like, I don't need you to know this. I don't need to think about that perspective right now. So actually I can see how what you're saying.
It's honestly just giving me slight pause for thought. And I feel like maybe that particular nuance of like polyamory would be difficult for me, or would have to be something that would be tailored to a relationship that I had. But other than that, I feel like everything seems pretty like...
Sign me up, baby!
Yeah, I've already got one foot in the door.
I think
if anyone wants photos, by the way, we'll post them up on,
we'll post
on Insta, and you can all just
smash those like buttons and slide into the DMs. Wait, why are the people are sliding into my DMs for you? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Slide into my DMs, I'll pass your numbers on.
No. Pimp.
Anything for subscriber numbers, let's be honest. I think for me, recently, not most recently, but recently I found myself kind of almost in a polyamorous situation, which I was actually okay with, but there just wasn't enough transparency and honesty. And I think that's really what I learned, is that I learned the hard way that like should I ever be in that situation again, which I don't foresee that I will, but if I ever were, I would need there to be like a really refined level of transparency and honesty, because that's to me the cornerstone of any relationship. But I've really enjoyed looking into this subject, because it isn't something that I can't envision me doing it long term, but I can appreciate why it's a relationship model that functions well and arguably better than monogamous relationships. Which kind of leads us on to what next week's episode is going to be on.
So, next week's episode is on non-monogamous heterosexuality.
So, Sarah, you'll be an expert at this subject. Not the non-monogamous part, but the heterosexual part.
Yes.
So tell us about, as none of us queers listening know about your heterosexual perspective, because it's not at all in the media every single gosh darn day of our homosexual lives. We will be fascinated to learn about it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't be boring, be fun like us. No. That's us not played in some countries now. I would say effectively, I've been sneaky and I've already started doing research for this next week's episode. I've watched a programme on Channel 4 about... yes, I realise that doesn't quantify full-blown dissertation-style research.
No,
Jesus.
I tried to keep a straight face through that, but I was just like, is it because you find non-monogamous heterosexuality
disgusting,
more interesting, or because you need to do more research on heterosexuality than you do for polyamory?
Rude. So rude. No, each episode we've researched, but and will research more, but it's more a case of this one requires more prep, because we're not going to be interviewing people that are from this perspective, unless you are coming from that perspective. So if you yourself are listening and you yourself would identify as heterosexual and regard yourself to be in or considering a non-monogamous relationship, and you'd like to tell us about your experience, then email me It's Jamie Sparks at gmail.com. That's ITSJAMIE Sparks at gmail.com. And tell us about your experience. Feel free to name yourself, use any pseudonym you wish, poly or otherwise.
I'm sorry, it was the best I could
No, it
come
was
up
good.
with on
It
the
was good.
spot.
I like it. Or you can also tweet me as well at It's Jamie Sparks, or slide hard and fast into my DMs on Instagram and let us know about your experience. So, as always, don't forget, when you're starting to date someone, do not Google them, don't Bing them, don't DuckDuckGo them, don't Lycos them. Do you remember Lycos?
Oh, yeah.
Don't Copernic.
Copernic?
That was the search engine that simultaneously used.
Ask Jeeves.
Oh, Jeeves. Where's Jeeves at? Is Jeeves down the job centre?
I think
What's
so.
he up to? Because the person you're searching for might be a social media marketer.
Speaking of which,
Bing, bing, bing.
follow us on Instagram at...
Literally,
That doesn't make any sense.
Literally, no, but wait, did I type it wrong?
No, it's just because it's like, follow us on Instagram at It's Jamie Sparks. That's what I was going to say, and then I'm like, right, okay.
So I love that Sarah was basically like, this week I need to know what I'm saying because last time I just went blah, blah, blah.
Yes, and now I'm still doing blah blah blah. Okay, speaking of which, follow us on Instagram at It's Jamie Sparks and Twitter at It's Jamie Sparks.
Wait, is it?
At It's Jamie Sparks. At It's Jamie Sparks. You can also find us.
I'm actually about to pee my pants. Just saying my name so much is doing. It's saying my name. It's getting real weird. Please say I didn't make you say it one more time.
I'm not doing it again.
Oh wait, because
At It's Jamie Sparks and Twitter at It's Jamie Sparks. You can also find us on Facebook if that's your bag, baby. It's Jamie Sparks.
I'm literally about to pee my pants. Oh my god. Anyway, so if we've learned anything today, it's that maybe we should make our new Twitter handle. Please never say my name again. Oh my god. And in conclusion...
Wait, I think I missed out the bang.
Oh, in conclusion, clearly you all need to both rate, review, and subscribe.
Both, all three things.
All three things. Because obviously we are in a polyamorous relationship with social media, so rate, review,
Indeed.
subscribe, click like, hit the bell, whatever you want.
Do it.
As long as it's consensual.
Exactly. Yay. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And this is the fun part again because we don't know what our sign off is.
Don't date
At
us.
Jamie Sparks.
At Jamie Sparks. At It's Jamie Sparks.
If you see him in the street, remember, at It's Jamie Sparks.
People are gonna literally be like screaming at me going, it's Jamie Sparks. Oh my god, I've never thought about that. What the fuck? Anyway, okay, ready?
What? Were we supposed to clap?
Well, we didn't.